as it got closer, I could see and sense that it was what we call shape shifting, changing into shape. And as it got closer, it began to take on more of like a human form, more of a shape, but it was an illuminated being. It wasn't by any means human body. It was just an illumination of that. And I knew it was God. I knew it was Creator. All that is. The minute I laid eyes on this being, I hit the ground. I mean, I hit the ground. I'm going to start crying. I do it every time I talk about that moment.
This is Beyond with Heather Tesch, where we examine near-death experiences and life itself, hopefully making this life a little better. Hello, everybody. Welcome, and hello to you, my guest, Jennifer Bryant.
Hello. How are you?
I am great. It is wonderful to have you here. You have so many things to share. First of all, you're going to share your near-death experience, but you also have information about the future. And we're going to be talking more about that too, because I know a lot of people are curious. But let's start with your near-death experience. And you are not in a great place at this point in your life. And you kind of had a little conversation with God, and then you ended up having your near-death experience. So take us to that time.
Okay. Thanks so much. It was 19 years ago. And I did not, like you said, I was not in a good place. I made a lot of errors, a lot of decisions that just did not make my life good. And it had been going on for a while. And I was driving to work one day and just something came out of me. And I slammed my hand on the wheel and I said, God, you get your butt down here and fix my life now or take me home. I was done. And I'm kind of feisty, and I know that I came across that way. I was demanding. I was telling God, get your butt down here and fix this or take me home. And I honestly don't even know where it came from. It just came out of me. And I had a little hissy fit driving to work, and I get to work, forgot all about the prayer, the moment, and went on with my day. About 12 o'clock, I decided I was going to go to the bank. And I was driving the car, and as I was driving, I got, it was like a movie in front of my face, and I saw a white car hit me head on in the vision. And before I could put like everything together and realize that it was actually a vision, I look up and I see the white car, and it was coming about ready to hit me. Or no, it wasn't about ready to hit me. I knew it was going to hit me because it was at far enough distance, but I could see it was just crossing that yellow line. And when everything connected in the brain, I realized I was going to get hit. I felt this vortex of energy, this force of energy, like fly down from the heavens, swoop in. And I knew it was Archangel Michael, and Archangel Michael had taken my spirit soul out of my body. And I mean, I could literally hear the, noise. It happened. Everything was so fast. It was all together in one circle, but I knew it was Archangel Michael. And as Michael flew through the universe or the vortex, I was behind him in, like a wind tunnel, like an energy trail. I always say it's like when you're following behind a big semi truck and you get in that vortex. That's what it was like. So I was actually like being sucked up through that with his energy. And I realized I was out of my body. And then I heard the cars hit behind. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I did have the crash, but I'm not there. And so my brains were just, trying to get everything together. And then I panicked and I thought about my son and said, oh no, I can't leave my son. Now my son was electrocuted when he was 3. And when he came to, he said, Mommy, look at the light. Mommy, look at the angels. And said there were 3 angels. And I'm screaming, don't look at the light. Don't look at the angels. But so Michael returned me to that time with my son and said, he's fine. He's okay. We've got him covered. I said, okay, let's go. I'm ready. So off we went. And in that space, it was silent. It was just like wind and vortex, silent. But I could hear, I can't say divine music like, they show you in the movies in the heavens. It was beyond that. It was this music that was so it penetrated everything, and it was beyond beautiful. There's just no words to explain anything over there. But I could hear this music like just circling everywhere. And I see this big, huge, bright light and up to the right. And I knew Michael was going to take us into that light. So before I could connect and get everything, I mean, as fast could be, Michael just whoosh, went into that light. And the next thing I recall, I'm standing in front of a entryway, and it's black. So my brains were thinking, we humans relate black with negative, bad, all this stuff. So I thought, gosh, I hope they're not going to send me in there, because, I still had some part of my human brain going. So Michael was here, I was here, Gabriel was here, and the entryway was here. And I had my hand on my hip, being feisty again. And they must have told me they were sending me back, because all I remember is me having a fit saying, you can't do that. You can't bring us here and then send us back to that. It's wrong. You just can't do that. Of course, they ignored me. But then I heard, it was like I could see into that entryway. So this part was black. That's what you could see. But there was like this path, a long path leading from somewhere else. And I could hear, feel, sense, and understand that there was this entity, this thing moving through this path coming towards the entryway. And it sounded like water, like not swishing water, but waving water. And as it got closer, I could see and sense that it was what we call shape-shifting, changing into shape. And as it got closer, it began to take on more of like a human form, more of a shape. But it was an illuminated being. It wasn't by any means human body. It was just an illumination of that. And I knew it was God. I knew it was Creator, all that is, and as it got to the front, I also had an understanding. The reason that entryway looked black was because the light was so bright that it reflects black. So the thing that was shown to me was, when you go out in the sun and you look directly into the sun and then you come in the house, everything's black. You can't see. So it was the same correlation. So Creator came to the entryway, did not come out of the entryway. So I was probably 8 to 10 feet from it. And the minute I laid eyes on this being, I hit the ground. I mean, I hit the ground. I'm going to start crying. I do it every time I talk about that moment. The awe, it wasn't out of reverence for religion or a religious thing at all. It was that being, that entity, that power is so amazing that I hit the ground out of pure awe. There's just no word. And I bent down, hit the ground, and then Creator used its energy, its power, and just lifted me up in front and said, nay, all are equal. And of course, at that moment, I didn't even care what it said. I was just like, it just in awe. And I don't know what made me think it, but I thought, oh, Creator is going to let me stay. Creator is going to embrace me and, let me stay there. And as it kind of approached closer, this force of energy just came over me, and I thought I was going to get a hug. Not so. As that force came closer, I immediately just bam, blew back, and I knew I was going back to the car. And I just screamed, "No, you can't do this." And that was it. Then I was back in the car. And honestly, you can't go between dimensions and have your brains together. So I was sitting in the car, and the airbag contents were, filling the car. So everything was white. And I thought I was still in heaven. But then I started looking around, and I saw paramedics, and I saw fire trucks. And so I'm poking my body and going, am I dead? Am I alive? I couldn't relate whether I was really alive. And then I thought, well, maybe Michael sent me back as a spirit and I'm floating in my car. So the only time that I realized I was actually sent back in physical body was when my friend stopped and pulled me out of the car. And then I knew. But the greatest thing about that was I had no upset, because once I got home later that evening, I noticed so much had changed about me, but I couldn't figure out what. And then my son and two friends said, something happened to you. You're like a 5-year-old child. And I was like, I feel like a 5-year-old child. This is amazing. Everything's wonderful. Everything's beautiful. Everything's perfect. And I held on to that for a couple of months, that 5-year-old child innocence. It's like there was nothing wrong anywhere. Everybody was perfect. And I wasn't even affected by, the horrible things people do. It just, none of it affected me anymore as it does adults. Well, I had a business to run, and I guess that I was kind of loopy and not conforming to social ideas. And a couple of my clients who said, Jennifer, maybe you should go see if you can get something done to put you back together to your adult brain. And I listened. I actually called a Reiki master, a friend of mine, and asked to see her if she could, kind of merge my aura back together. And she did. And by the way, I had no pain, no pain or anything in that accident. I had a broken nose, a broken toe, and airbag burns. But that was it. And, but I had no pain, nothing, until she put my aura back in my body. And the minute that she merged the spirit self with the body self, I could say a lot of cuss words right now because I was so mad at myself for doing that. I had just given up the best gift anybody could have ever had, was having that child, innocent 5-year-old heart. And I gave it up for adult again. So I asked her, I said, take it out. She said, I can't. I said, I don't care what you do. Get this crap out of me. I want to go back to the way I was. And she said, Jennifer, you can't do that. So I knew I was stuck with it. I knew, but also in the back of my head, I knew I had to do that because of what was coming in the future. I had no idea what that was, of course, but 19 years later, now I can see the whole big picture. And I say, I did have to go through that. Did have to go back to adulthood so I could write. I could, share and teach. You can't do that as a 5-year-old child. So I did end up accepting that it wasn't a horrible mistake that I did that. It was a purposeful thing for my future. And that's what I tell everybody. You may go through some crap right now, but it's for the future. Trust me, it's not against you. It's for you. And that's how I ended up perceiving it. But the coolest thing of all is I'm never going to be able to forget that experience because On my arm, I have an airbag burn in the shape of Archangel Michael, just as it was the moment he took me out of the car. So when things get tough or I get challenged, I look at my arm and remember that moment that it was the greatest blessing I could have ever had in my life, aside from my son's birth. My son's birth and that experience are the two top things in my entire life that I'm beyond grateful for.
And of course, you did still maintain the insight, and also you still have many gifts that came along with this. And
Oh,
we're going to talk more about that coming up. But,
yeah.
First, I just find it interesting that you and so many other near-death experiencers I've talked to, you start out during your near-death experience and you're like, oh, I want to go back. I want to go back. And then suddenly there's this shift and you're like, no, I want to stay. I want to stay.
Yeah. It's different for everybody. I've read quite a few and talked to a lot of my clients have had near death experiences. And it's amazing how many people get the choice to come back and then others don't. I didn't have a choice, apparently. If I did, I didn't remember it. But there's so many different variations. Some people are offered, do you want to go back? Others are not. They're sent back regardless whether they want to stay or not. And then, like you said, they want to go, but then they say, okay, well, I'll go back. So they're just all different. And I think that has to do with the person's future purpose. Everybody has a near-death out-of-body experience for their future. It will, because that's honestly, out of all the people I've met, and I've met a lot in 25, 30 years in this business, those are really the only moments that really send somebody back to this space doing heavenly work, good work, divine work. They don't have a choice. Once you have that, you can't deny it and you can't set it aside. And so I say you have them, and they're all different for everybody because everybody's purpose is different. But it's for the future.
Well, let's talk about some of the things that you encountered during your near-death experience. First of all, you saw archangels Michael and Gabriel, and I know a lot of people from past comments want to know, what did they look like? So can you share that with us?
They're all just illuminated beings. Nothing over there is human. Nothing over there is of this world. And anything that looks like it is more like a visible, invisible, holographic kind of thing. So in my vision, they were illuminating beings. They were they're not human body. They're illuminated beings with the shape of, a human shaped body.
And how did you know that it was Michael and Gabriel then?
You just know once you cross this plane over to the other side, you know everything. It's like automatic download. The minute you cross that dividing line of dimensional consciousness, you know everything. Everything's telepathic. And that's where they say everything is infinite, everything is one, everything is whole, because it is once you cross out of here, over. So you know almost everything.
And do you think that they came to you because that's something you would have expected, whereas somebody else, maybe of a different culture, would not have seen them?
No, there was no intent in my request for God to get down here and fix my life. There was desire, and there was an idea, but there was no full-on intent. I expect you to answer me. I expect you to do this, because I forgot all about it and I went to work. It was just something that happened. So it's not an expectation. It was more of a desire, a hope, just hoping that they would hear and someone would respond.
You also told us something that really intrigued me. Clearly, the creator was this ominous, amazing being. And yet, when he picked you up, he said, or it said, we are all equal.
They all are equal. Yep.
And why is that? That seems to me kind of off
I
compared
didn't
to,
understand what the heck that meant either until after, I've gone through so much stuff in 19 years. Um, and I've had multiple near death out of body experiences to accompany that one. So the amount of knowledge that has been downloaded is off the charts. It can almost be overwhelming. But the reason I came to find out is because, like I just said, the minute you cross this dimension, the physical plane, over into the spiritual plane, the higher consciousness, it is all equal. It is all whole. So we're the only ones that have this separate division mind. But the minute you leave here, everything is together. It's everything is all. There's no separation. So that's what I came to learn that meant, is all are equal over there. I could be dead wrong. I don't think it's even possible for people to be all equal here. I don't, only because of the divided hemispheres of the brain. But over there, you don't have brain, you have consciousness. You have the levels of the brain that we can't even access here. And that's why everything's equal. At least that's my understanding.
can you describe the love that you felt when you were there?
Just through my reaction when I talked about it, it's a love. I think literally only people who die or are on death's bed can feel, in its true essence and definition of unconditional love. It's the only way. And like I said before, there's only 2 times I have ever had that true, pure, unadulterated love, unconditional love. And that is with my son and during that first experience with Michael, Gabriel, and Creator. It's a love that they have to impose it upon you. It's not something you can seek here, because we have, we love our husbands, we love our kids, we love our friends, we love our jobs. We have so much different variations of love here. Don't even compare to that over there. Doesn't even compare.
When you went there, did it feel familiar to you?
Oh yeah. 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 I knew I'd been there. I knew I've stood before those 3 before too. And that was another interesting thing that I had to learn through 19 years, is how is that? How can I already know this place, Michael, Gabriel, Creator? How can I know this? But you got to remember, and this is what I tell my friends and clients, you got to remember that we're here now, but we're missing the whole entire time from now back until the original day of creation. We've got all that stuff that we don't even know, understand, or remember. So that's what I've attributed it to, is it's probably, I know this place because I've been here multiple times. If you take my whole entire lifetime from the dawn of creation till now, gosh knows that's a lot of space. Something's got to be in there, where I've traveled before. So that's what I attribute it to. But no, I definitely, everything was familiar.
I know after this, you had many changes, and you just alluded to you've had many out of body experiences and downloads. And I know one of the gifts that you've been given are glimpses of our future. And I really want to learn more about what you've seen, but let's go ahead and take that into part 2.
Okay.
I hope you like Jennifer. I am telling you, that was just the warm-up. There is so much ahead in part 2, and she has a lot to share about what's to come in the future. Here's a look. when you and I were having conversations, you did feel it's important to get some of this information out now.
Yes. We are on some kind of divine time frame. Just got chills everywhere. Okay, so I guess I am supposed to talk about it. There's so much on the table, but I will say there are possibilities that have been shown to me, and the possibilities are, number one is destroyed, and the other is otherworldly being contact, which I never, ever, ever thought I would ever say that because I just never gave any thought to it. But otherworldly being contact is huge on the table.
And when do you foresee that happening? And that is just a snippet of the things that she shared. I'm telling you, you need to come back for part 2. It is really fascinating. In the meantime, I would love to hear your thoughts on her near-death experience, and you can put those thoughts in the comments section. If you prefer just to say you made it, I always really appreciate that too. Just writing something really helps this channel, so thank you. Thank you also for your likes. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that. And that little bell icon, what that's going to do is give you alerts when I drop new episodes. And the schedule is they come out on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but you can always find all of my episodes and all of the older ones you haven't seen yet in my playlist. And that link is always in the description. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. I am so grateful for you. And I really, really hope you'll join me again for part 2. Thanks for joining me on Beyond with Heather Tesch. Please add comments and questions you'd like future guests to answer. Also, if you liked what you heard, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. That'll help keep this podcast going. You can also go to Beyond with Heather Tesch to look for more episodes.